welcome you to the Kerrytown BookFest. It's the 6th anniversary of it, so we're gliding right along. This is one of our very special programs. It is sponsored by the Michigan Council on Humanities. And this past year, the Michigan Council actually sponsored a statewide read program where we promoted the reading of the Nick Adams stories. And off that, we spun several events that are unique to the Kerrytown BookFest. And the first one we just did is a group of students redesigned the covers of the Nick Adams stories. And we just presented the awards over at the concert house. This program is about the printing of a poem that Hemingway did about Michigan. Now, most people do not know Hemingway for his poetry. Am I right about that? Okay, he wrote 88 poems, and there is a book, a collection of his poems called 88 Poems, appropriate enough. Well, one of the poems that's within that collection is Along with Youth. And Along with Youth, many people believe, is sort of Hemingway's swan song to Michigan. He visited Michigan and the Upper Peninsula in particular after his injuries in World War I. And he wrote a very, very bittersweet poem about visiting Seney, Michigan, where he just kind of said goodbye to Michigan. And when we saw that poem, what we wanted to do was create a limited edition of it in what is called a broadside that you'll see here. And we wanted that to represent really what he was saying in a visual way. Well, the first thing we did is, okay, as we said, is the poem copyrighted? And in fact, it still is copyrighted. So we went to the publisher. Actually, we went to several publishers, because at first we couldn't figure out who owned the copyright. And the publishers were a little confused for a while about that too. And part of that comes from how basically the rights are sold and resold to different publishers. When we did locate the copyright, we started negotiations. Of course, we were willing to pay a small fee, but we were very excited when they said there would be no fee after several months negotiation with the lawyer for the family and for the publisher. I'd recommend, if you ever have any idea of using anything of Hemingway, you first of all don't, because they will sue you, or at least they'll send you nasty letters. And then secondly, if you do have something that you think you can get copyright use for, you start a long time in advance. It probably took 3 to 6 months to get the permission to use the copyright on this particular work of Hemingway's, even though it's only been published twice legitimately, once by us and once in 88 Poems. The other two are sometimes called pirates or knockoffs or whatever you want to call them. But we were able to do this. The family and the publisher gave us permission. What we did then is we located some very, very good artisans in the book world to help us recreate this poem as we thought Hemingway himself may want to have seen it. So first we went to Chad Pastonik. Chad is from Bel Air, Michigan. He is well, I'm going to let him tell his story. And he did the typesetting on it and just the arrangement of the layout. Then we went to Jim Horton, who is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Jim did the woodcut. And the woodcut we wanted to represent sort of what Hemingway may have left behind. And Jim interpreted that without really nicely a lot of input, because you don't want to do that. You don't want to say to them, we want these 5 things. And what I would like to do is have them tell their story about how they put this together and represent the true Hemingway in Michigan and saying goodbye to Michigan. He probably wrote this poem in Paris, and we have an expert in the crowd, that Mike Fetterspiel, that may be able to give us more information about that later in the second program, or if you'd want to do it in question and answer, we'd like that. But I'm going to start by introducing Chad from Bel Air, and please welcome Chad.